The celebration lasted until sunset. The drums of Umudike echoed across the kingdom as dancers moved across the great arena. Children ran between adults, shouting Uzwamaka's name. General Uzwamaka, the first woman general, the daughter of Obinna, but not everyone celebrated. Some men stood with their arms folded, their faces hard. Some women whispered behind their hands, and among them stood Prince Dede. He was standing between them. The dust from the arena still clung to his skin. He watched Uzwamaka from a distance as people gathered around her. She was smiling, not arrogantly, not proudly. She was simply happy. For the first time, Dede noticed something he had never noticed. She wasn't fighting for attention. She wasn't fighting to become important. She had simply fought because she believed she could. Dede looked away. Why am I even watching her? Because you are curious. Dede turned sharply. His friend and fellow warrior Chidi stood behind him. I am not curious. Chidi laughed. You have been staring at her for 5 minutes. I am looking at the crowd. The crowd is behind you. Dede frowned. Go away, Chidi. Chidi laughed harder. Yes, Your Highness. Later that evening, Uzwamaka returned to Adieze's compound. Adieze was waiting for her. The moment she entered, Adieze pulled her into a tight embrace. My daughter. Uzwamaka laughed. Adieze, you will squeeze the life out of me. I don't care. Adieze released her and held her face between her palms. You did it. Uzwamaka smiled. I did. You defeated the prince. Uzwamaka's smile disappeared. Please don't remind me. Adieze laughed. Why? You are afraid of him now? Afraid? Uzwamaka shook her head. No. She paused. He is just annoying. Adieze smiled knowingly. Of course. The next morning, Uzwamaka woke up before the roster. Being general had not changed her habits. She went outside to train. But this time, something was different. 3 young warriors were waiting for her. They bowed. General. Uzwamaka stared at them. What are you doing here? We were told to train under you. She blinked. By whom? King Kumkum. Uzwamaka smiled. Then pick up your weapons. The 3 warriors exchanged nervous looks. One of them swallowed. Yes, General. Across the village, Naya was having a completely different kind of morning. She stood beside the stream with her clay pot while pretending to be very interested in collecting water. But her eyes kept wandering towards the forest paths. Finally, she heard footsteps. She turned. Obasi appeared between the trees with his bow across his shoulder. Naya smiled. You are late. Obasi grinned. I was hunting. And did you catch anything? He shook his head. No. Naya laughed. Then you are not a very good hunter. I caught something. She raised her eyebrow. What? Obasi stepped closer. Your attention. Naya stared at him. Then she laughed so loudly that birds flew from a nearby tree. That was terrible. But you smiled. I always smile. Not like that. Naya lowered her eyes. For a moment, neither spoke. Then she whispered, You really like me, don't you? Obasi smiled. I think you already know. Naya looked towards the village. If Uzwamaka hears about this, what will she do? She will ask you 100 questions. Obasi laughed. I can handle her. Naya shook her head. No man can handle Uzwamaka. Both laughed, but their laughter stopped suddenly. A strange sound came from the forest. Boom! They looked at each other. Another sound followed. Boom! Naya's smile disappeared. Was that a drum? Obasi slowly reached for his bow. Yes. Who is playing drums inside the forest? I don't know. The two stared towards the trees. Nothing moved. Then the sound stopped. Obasi lowered his bow. We should go. Naya nodded. Neither of them noticed the strange black bird watching them from a branch above. That afternoon, something unusual happened. A group of hunters returned from the forest. They were supposed to have brought back several antelopes. Instead, they came running into the village empty-handed. One of them was shaking. Another had blood on his arm. King Kunku was immediately informed. The hunters were brought before him. What happened? The oldest hunter struggled to speak. We heard drums. King Kunku's face changed. What kind of drums? The hunter looked at the other men. The sacred drum. Silence filled the throne room. Where? Deep inside the forest. The king stood. Did you see anyone? The hunter shook his head. No. What happened next? The man swallowed. The trees began to move. One of the younger hunters interrupted. We heard someone calling our names. King Kunku stared at him. Whose voice? The young hunter's eyes filled with fear. My dead fathers. The room became silent. King Kunku slowly sat down. He remembered something he had not thought about in decades. The night General Obinna died, he heard those drums. That evening, King Kunku summoned Uzwamaka. She entered the throne room and bowed slightly. You called for me, Your Majesty? The king looked at her for a long moment. Uzwamaka, how much did your father tell you about the sacred forest? She frowned. Not much. Nothing? He told me never to enter it alone. The king's expression darkened. Did he ever tell you why? Uzwamaka shook her head. No. King Kunku stood and walked towards one of the palace windows. Your father knew something. Uzwamaka's eyes narrowed. What? The king turned around. I don't know. That answer surprised her. You don't know? Your father was a great warrior. There were things he kept even from me. Why? Because sometimes the king paused. Knowing the truth can put a person in great danger than ignorance. Before Uzwamaka could respond, a palace guard rushed into the room. My king, what is it? The children. The king's face changed. What children? 3 children are missing. Uzwamaka stepped forward. Where? The guard hesitated. Near the forest. The room fell silent. Uzwamaka looked at King Kunku. When did they disappear? Less than an hour ago. She immediately turned towards the door. I'll gather the warriors. King Kunku stopped her. Wait. Uzwamaka turned. The king's voice was unusually serious. Do not enter that forest tonight. But the children, we will search for them. I can find them, Uzwamaka. The firmness in his voice stopped her. I said no. She stared at him, then slowly bowed. As you command. But as she walked away, something caught her attention. On the floor near the palace entrance was a small object, a child's bracelet. Uzwamaka bent down and picked it up. It was covered in mud, and carved into its surface was a strange symbol. She had seen the symbol before. Her father's old training shield had carried the same mark. She looked towards the dark window. For the first time since becoming general, Uzwamaka felt afraid. Not for herself, for the kingdom. That same night, Prince Dede stood on the palace balcony. The kingdom was unusually quiet. No drums, no laughter, no singing. Only the sound of the wind. Then he heard it. Boom! Dede froze. Boom! The sacred drums. Coming from the forest, he looked towards the dark trees. A thick, white mist slowly began crawling between them. Then something moved inside it. A tall figure, watching the palace. Dede's breathing stopped. He reached for his sword. The figure disappeared. Dede stared into the darkness. "Who are you?" No answer. Only a whisper carried by the wind, so faint that he almost believed he imagined it. "The warrior's blood has returned." Dede's eyes widened. He looked towards the room where Uzwamaka was staying. For the first time, the prince understood that the tournament had never been the real beginning. Something much older had been waiting, and somehow Uzwamaka was connected to it. The palace remained awake long after midnight. No one sang, no one danced. Even the guards spoke in whispers. 3 children had disappeared. Hunters had returned from the forest terrified. And somewhere behind the trees, the sacred drums continued to sound. Boom, boom, boom. Prince Dede remained on the palace balcony, staring into the darkness. The strange figure was gone, but the whisper remained in his mind. The warrior's blood has returned. Dede tightened his grip around his sword. "Who are you?" The wind gave no answer. Then he heard footsteps behind him. He turned. It was Chidi. "My prince." Dede didn't look at him. "Did you see it?" "See what?" "The figure." Chidi's smile disappeared. "What figure?" Dede finally looked at him. There was someone standing inside the forest. Dede walked towards the edge of the balcony. "I see nothing." "Neither do I now." They stood silently. Then Chidi noticed something on the balcony floor. "Dede." "What?" "Look." A strong black feather lay beside the king's feet. Dede bent down. The feather was unusually large, and on its surface was a tiny red mark. Dede's expression changed. "I've seen this before." "Where?" Dede didn't answer. He suddenly remembered the symbol carved into Uzwamaka's father's old shield. Before sunrise, King Kunku ordered the warriors to gather. Uzwamaka stood among them. Her general chest wrapper was secured from behind, covering her chest and fastened behind her neck. Her short waist wrapper sat firmly around her waist, with her colorful waist bead visible above it all. She held a spear in one hand. King Kunku approached. "We searched only the outer edge of the forest." Uzwamaka frowned. "What about the children?" "We bring them home. And if they are deeper inside?" The king hesitated. "Then we decide what to do." Uzwamaka studied his face. "You know more than we are telling me." The king's eyes hardened. "This is not the time." It became the time when those children disappeared. The warriors became silent. The king looked at her. "You sound like your father." Uzwamaka stepped closer. "Then tell me what happened to him." The king looked away. "We will speak when the children are safe." Uzwamaka didn't like the answer, but she nodded. "Let's go." The search party entered the forest. Uzwamaka walked at the front. Behind her were 6 warriors, including Chidi. Dede was there too. Uzwamaka glanced back. "You?" Dede raised an eyebrow. "I am a prince and warrior. You were not invited." "I don't need an invitation." Uzwamaka rolled her eyes. "Just don't slow us down." Chidi covered his mouth to hide a laugh. Dede glared at him. "Something funny?" "No, your highness." Uzwamaka shook her head. "Both of you are children." Dede looked at her. "You defeated me once." "Once?" He smiled slightly. "Enjoy it while it lasts." Uzwamaka smiled. "Don't worry, I will." For a brief moment, they stared at each other. Then a branch cracked. They immediately turned. Nothing. Holy trees. They continued deeper. The forest grew darker. The birds stopped singing. Even the incense became quiet. Uzwamaka raised her hand. "Stop!" Everyone froze. She crouched. There were footprints in the mud. Small footprints. Children. Uzwamaka's heart raced. They came this way. Dede knelt beside her, and there are other footprints. Uzwamaka examined them. Adults. Chidi looked around nervously. How many? Uzwamaka counted. 1. Then she noticed something else. A small red bead. She picked it up. This belonged to one of the children. Suddenly, boom! The sacred drum echoed through the forest. Everyone froze. Boom! This time, it was closer. Dede drew his sword. Stayed together. Uzwamaka looked at him. For once, she didn't argue. They eventually reached a clearing. In the center stood an enormous ancient tree. Its trunk was covered with carvings. Names, hundreds of them. Some were old, some were almost completely erased. Uzwamaka slowly walked towards it. Then she stopped. Her eyes widened. One name had been carved deeper than the others. Obinna, her father's name. She reached towards it. Her figure trembled. Father, Dede stepped beside her. You know this place? No. But your father's name is here. I know. She looked at him. Don't ask me questions I don't have answers to. Dede's expression softened. I wasn't. For the first time, Uzwamaka noticed something different in him. He wasn't mocking her. He wasn't being proud. He looked genuinely concerned. Before she could say anything, a child cry came from the trees. Help! Uzwamaka spun around. That was one of them. She ran. Dede! He followed. They found a narrow opening behind a wall of vines. The crying was coming from inside. Uzwamaka entered first. The cave was dark. Dede, bring the torch. He followed with a burning torch. The light revealed 3 threatening children sitting together. Uzwamaka rushed towards them. Are you hurt? The children shook their heads. We are fine. Who brought you here? The smallest child pointed deeper into the cave. That man. Dede raised his sword. What man? The child whispered. The man who looks like General Obinna. Uzwamaka froze. Her heart stopped. What did you say? The man looks like your father. Dede stared at Uzwamaka. She looked pale. Where is he? The child pointed towards the darkness. He went that way. Uzwamaka stood. We are going. Dede grabbed her waist. No. She looked at him angrily. Let's go. We have the children. We return to the village. My father may be alive. Uzwamaka, you don't understand. She pulled her arm away. My father died years ago. She stared into the darkness. But someone is pretending to be him. Her voice dropped. I need to know why. Dede looked at her. Then he nodded. Then we go together. They left the children with Chidi and 2 warriors. Uzwamaka and Dede followed the mysterious passage. The cave became colder. Then they reached a huge stone chamber. At the center stood an old wooden chest. Uzwamaka approached it. There was the same symbol from her father's shield. Her heart trembled. Dede stood beside her. Open it. Uzwamaka lifted the lid. Inside was an old warrior's necklace, a broken sword, and a piece of cloth. Uzwamaka immediately recognized the clothes. She had seen it every day as a child. Her father's. She picked it up. A tear rolled down her cheek. He was here. Dede looked around the chamber. Recently, Uzwamaka touched the clothes. Very recently. Sitting beside the old wooden chest was a rock with something written on it. Uzwamaka carried it. There was only one sentence written on it. She read aloud. When Obinna's daughter becomes general, the blood oath will awaken. Dede stared at her. What does that mean? Uzwamaka shook her head. I don't know. Then, a deep voice echoed through the chamber. You were never supposed to find that. Uzwamaka spun around. Dede raised his sword. A figure stood at the entrance, tall, his face hidden beneath a hood. Uzwamaka stepped forward. "Who are you?" The figure slowly lifted his head, and from beneath the hood came a voice she recognized, a voice she had heard throughout her childhood, a voice she thought had disappeared forever. Uzwamaka, her eyes widened. The figure stepped into the torchlight, and Uzwamaka dropped the book, because standing before her was a man who looked exactly like her father. Uzwamaka could not breathe. The man stood on the entrance of the hidden chamber, his face half covered by the darkness, but there was no mistaking him. The broad shoulders, the scar above his left eyebrow, the deep voice, the eyes. These were the eyes she remembered from childhood. "Papa?" The word escaped her lips before she could stop it. The stranger stared at her. For several seconds, nobody moved. Then he slowly lowered his hood. Uzwamaka stumbled backward. It was General Obinna, or a man who looked exactly like him. Dede immediately stepped in front of her. "Who are you?" The man looked at Dede. "You are Kokun's son." Dede tightened his grip on his sword. "You know my father?" The man gave a faint smile. "I knew your father before you were born." Uzwamaka pushed past Dede. "You are my father." The man's expression changed. For the first time, emotion appeared in his eyes. "I am the man who was once your father." Uzwamaka's heart shattered. "Once?" She stepped closer. "You died." "I did. I saw them bury you." "You saw a burial." She froze. "What does that mean?" The man looked towards the old chest. "Your father died that night, Uzwamaka." She stared at him in confusion. "But you are here." The man looked directly into her eyes. "Because I am not the same man you remember." Silence. Dede looked between them. "What happened to him?" The man ignored him. He looked at Uzwamaka. "Your mother died giving birth to you." Uzwamaka's eyes filled with tears. "I know. She left behind a child with the blood of warriors." He pointed towards the rock. And the blood was never ordinary. Uzwamaka looked down. "The blood oath." The man's expression became serious. "Yes." Dede stepped forward. "What is the blood oath?" Obinna, or the man wearing his face, looked at him. "Many years ago, before Kunku became king, Umudike was nearly destroyed." Dede listened carefully. There was a secret society of warriors who protected this kingdom from threats no ordinary warriors could fight. "The forest?" The man nodded. "The sacred forest." Uzwamaka looked around the chamber. "My father was one of them." "He was their greatest warrior." Dede frowned. "Then why did nobody tell us?" "Because the king made a promise." "What promise?" "That the existence of the warriors could disappear with the generation that knew about them." Uzwamaka shook her head. "But why?" The man stood towards the cave entrance. "Because one of the warriors betrayed them." A cold silence filled the chamber. "Who?" The man did not answer. Instead, he said, "The betrayal cost many lives." "Was my father killed because of it?" "Yes." Uzwamaka's voice trembled. "Then who killed him?" The man looked at her. "This is the question you must answer." Suddenly, a sound came from outside. Boom! The sacred drum. Dede turned. The children. They rushed back towards the entrance. But when they reached the cave where they had left them, Chidi was standing alone. Dede's face changed. "Where are the children?" Chidi looked terrified. "They are gone." Uzwamaka stared at him. "What happened?" "I heard the drums." He pointed towards the passage. Then the torch went off. Where are the other warriors? Missing. Uzwamaka's hand tightened around her spear. The mysterious man stepped from the shadows. Chidi immediately raised his weapon. Who is that? Uzwamaka looked at him. He looks like my father. Chidi's mouth fell open. What? Before anyone could speak, a child's laughter echoed through the cave. Everyone froze. Then another sound. Footsteps. Small footsteps. Moving deeper into the forest. Uzwamaka immediately ran after them. Dede followed. Uzwamaka, she didn't stop. The passage opened into another chamber. The 3 children stood in the center, but they weren't alone. Around them stood 6 figures, dressed in black. Their faces were covered. One of them stepped forward. You came. Uzwamaka raised her spear. Release the children. The figure laughed. You have your father's courage. Uzwamaka's eyes narrowed. Who are you? The figure removed his mask. Uzwamaka's expression changed. She knew him. He was one of the respected elders of Umudike, a man who had attended her father's funeral, a man who had always spoken kindly about General Obinna. Chief Eze. Dede looked shocked. Impossible. Chief Eze smiled. Nothing is impossible in Umudike. Uzwamaka pointed her spear at him. You took the children. We needed you to come. Why? Because the bloodhood has awakened. Dede stepped forward. What do you want? Uzwamaka looked at him. The throne. Dede's face hardened. You want to overthrow my father? I want what was promised to my family. The mysterious man stepped forward. You betrayed the warriors once. Chief Eze turned. His smile disappeared. You. The chamber became silent. You should have stayed dead, Obinna. Uzwamaka's heart stopped. The mysterious man stepped into the light. Chief Eze stared at him. So it is true. Uzwamaka looked at him. What is true? Chief Eze laughed. Your father never died. Uzwamaka turned towards the man. You said you died. I did. Chief Eze interrupted. He was poisoned. Uzwamaka stared at him. Poisoned? Chief Eze smiled. Your father discovered what we were planning. Obinna's expression adding. The night of the final battle, I was betrayed. By whom? Obinna looked at Chief Eze. By him. Uzwamaka felt the world spin. Why? Because your father refused to give the sacred forest to those who wanted its power. Chief Eze's face twisted with anger. And because of him, my family lost everything. Dede stepped forward. What power? Chief Eze smiled. The forest does not simply protect Umudike. He looked around the chamber. It chooses who will protect it. Then he looked directly at Uzwamaka. And it has chosen you. The ground suddenly trembled. The sacred drum began beating faster. Boom, boom, boom. The children screamed. A strange blue light appeared beneath Uzwamaka's feet. She looked down. The same symbol carved into her father's shield appeared on the ground. Dede stared. Uzwamaka, her waist bead began to glow faintly. Obinna looked frightened for the first time. No, she looked at him. What? He stepped towards her. You must leave. Why? Because the forest has recognized you. The walls of the chamber began to shake. Chief Obinna laughed. At last, Uzwamaka raised her spear. What happens now? Obinna looked at his daughter. The real war begins. Then a deafening roar came from deep inside the forest. Every torch went off, and in darkness, two enormous golden eyes opened. Welcome if this is your first time seeing our story. This is African Tales Studio by Bookie. Please like, share, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any amazing African stories. And if you've always been following us, we appreciate you. Please like and comment. Thank you so much.